All right. Again, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm here at home in Martin, Tennessee, and it's 7 o'clock, like what I said, in Central Standard Time. We're going to start. Let me introduce the awesome, the amazing, the very, whatever you call it, awesome Giselle Miranda from Houston, Texas. She's an
Hello.
occupational therapist, and she's going to teach us tonight how to start your own sensory gym. Okay, Giselle, go ahead and introduce yourself. And tell us where you're from. I already told them what you do and what is it? What's this start your own sensory gym? Help us. Help
Yeah,
find
absolutely.
financial
Um,
freedom, sister.
well, I'm Giselle. I'm an OT, like Mike says. Well, a few years back, I started my own sensory gym. I was actually working in a hospital, which I loved. I loved being there. I was there for like 6 years, but I wanted a little bit more. I wanted more time with my family. I wanted to feel like I was making a difference in my community. I wanted more flexibility. I just felt like I was meant for more. And so my husband and I just started chatting and just trying to brainstorm ideas of what we wanted to do. And I remember us going into just like this playground, indoor playground with my daughters. And I was telling my husband, I could use this for this, treatment. I could use this other thing for this other treatment. And then we were like, well, why don't we just make our own gym and make it work? And that's how the idea kind of came about. And I'm just excited to share about what worked for me and how I was able to do it and where it's gotten me nowadays with my family. So
Is
excited
it
to
really
share.
that simple? I mean, is it really that simple?
Well,
You talk
I
about it,
mean,
okay, let's go ahead and do this, and then boom.
that's kind of how, I mean, it took a few months. It wasn't like, yes, let's do this today and it just happened. It was a lot of researching, a lot of planning ahead, a lot of long nights, because I'm not one. My husband is more of an impulsive one to say, hey, let's just do this. I'm more of the researcher and planner and, takes my time to do things. So I think it took from the moment we decided to do so, it took us probably 6 months or so to actually open up and, fine tune things, do all of our research and get things going. So
Awesome. Awesome. I guess the bottom line there is taking action.
yeah.
Everybody has this awesome idea. I got in my head. Now, God, I'm sure, and the rest of the people who are watching and listening right now, but we can get all these crazy ideas, but if we don't take action, it's not going to do you good. And that's what I like about Giselle here. She took action, she took ownership, and she implemented it. So, all right, go ahead, Giselle. Should I move on to the next slide?
Sure. I think the next one was like an intro slide, but
Well, before I start, is this actually your picture here? I mean, your
yeah, so every picture is in here is from my gym. So
oh
you'll get
wow,
a little glimpse.
I'm excited. So who's this kid here? Here,
uh, no, that was just one of the kiddos that came over to the gym.
I'm sure somebody's gonna get mad. Did you get a consent?
Oh, absolutely. I do everything right, Mike. They have to sign form, liability forms to come in, and that also has the, photography,
Mm-hmm.
permitting me to take pictures and use pictures for the gym. So,
Oh, I guess you're gonna teach that. You're gonna teach us that how to, you know, get those forms and everything, right? So, in the
right.
in the in the course. Okay. All right. I'm gonna
Yep.
move on to the next slide then. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna shut up. Somebody comment on the chat box. Shut up, Michael, and let her talk. All right. There you go.
All right. So that was just kind of like the background I just talked about, just what my background and what pushed me to want to do this, to take the jump, because it's scary, guys. Let me tell you, to leave your steady job and say, okay, I'm just going to jump in and do it. It's scary. But I can tell you that it was absolutely one of the best things I've done for me, for my career, for my family, just overall. So worth it. You can go to the next slide.
Okay. See, I was shutting up there for a minute. Okay. All right.
All right, so this is just a little bit about what I was offering. So I had a sensory gym. So pretty much think about, like I said in the live, your standard pediatric therapy gym. I had the swings, I had a ball pit, I had, just your standard gym. And we offered open play times where kiddos can come and play and just have an inclusive playground to have fun in
Mm-hmm.
and get their sensory input that they need throughout the week, and just for parents to feel this is a safe place for my kids to play where they're not being judged, or sometimes it's difficult when you have children with special needs, but this is just an inclusive environment, a place where it's easily accessible for kids of all abilities and just able to have fun. We also offered play groups. I based them off of, a lot of the goals that we worked on in therapy. So some fine motor, some gross motor, sensory play, balance, just based on things that we typically work on in therapy. I offered birthday parties. We had some mommy and me classes too. I also, like I said, I do a lot of research before I jumped in here. So I did even contact the OT board and just make sure that everything that I was doing and offering was acceptable and within my scope of what I was able to do. And they even said that I could screen kiddos and just say, I think that based on what I'm able to see,
Yeah.
your child needs this assistance, and they would benefit from OT or PT or speech, and I could refer them over to their doctor to get orders for therapy. So
Definitely. That's a captured
yeah,
market there. Oh gosh.
yeah, and the board said you can have your license up, you can have your diploma up, whatever. They are absolutely able to know that you are a therapist. You're just doing groups versus eval and treat
Mm-hmm.
services. So
Oh
yeah,
wow. I think that's where all this fear comes from. I mean, a lot of us here in the alternative career groups, we're so fearful of all this and that. Should I do this? Should I do that? Or how will I do this? And I think what you did there is just awesome. You ask your board, hey, can I do this? We can all
right,
do.
right.
We have so much.
Seeking
We have so
clarification, but yeah.
yeah. As a therapist, whether you're a PT, OT, speech, whether you're even a PTA or a CODA, we have so much services to offer. It's not just insurance based. This is cash based here. I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of our cash based practice therapists right now, they don't even want to go insurance based because there's so much good, they're making good money in cash based. Me,
Right.
it's difficult for a cash based person to go to an insurance based system versus an insurance going to a cash. So, all right, before we go to the next slide, Giselle, we got several questions. Jennifer D is asking, is this a membership type or a pay per session? This is an awesome question here. Uh, is it a membership type or a pay per session?
I can't see those. Yeah. So I had some open play sessions. I mean, you could just walk into a group, but I also had the membership type. So
Mhm.
some people wanted to sign up and be able to come continuously, and it just worked out for them to have a membership. Some just wanted to try out a class here and there or play group, and so they did the walk-in. So it just depended on what was the right choice for them as a family, but I did offer both.
There you go. There you go. I know a lot of gym, they have that, same thing. Typical gym, like, Gold's Gym. So you got the membership type and then the paper
Right.
session. I guess my next question, Giselle, since I'm the one asking you and interviewing you, uh,
Sure.
do you just accept, kids with special, intellectually disabled or whatever you call that, special?
No,
What do you,
no, not
or do you
at all.
accept also kids in the community, whatever, if they want to join or?
Yeah, absolutely. The gym is open for anyone that wants to participate. So it's not just
Hmm.
exclusively for children with special abilities. So,
Oh wow. Oh wow. There's another question here from Belissa. What's going on, Belissa? Belissa is one of a close friend of mine. She is asking, do you do therapy as well? So I guess yes, right?
so we did groups.
Groups.
So
Okay.
the board did classify it as group therapy. I didn't do eval and treat. They did say that if I wanted to eventually open that up as an option at the facility, then I could have. I never got to that point because it was doing pretty well with what I was offering.
I
So,
bet. I
yeah.
bet, right? I bet. So not unless you really want to open up a small, small room or a private room for an
And
actual eval and treat, right? And then
right.
charge insurance. I mean, who wants to deal with insurance?
Insurance can be a hassle. So I was trying to avoid that, to be honest. I was
Yeah.
trying to do all what I all that I could offer without going through insurance. But the board did say eventually, if I wanted to do a voluntary, I could. I just needed to register it through the board. So
How about charging
yes.
cash for the actual eval and treat? I mean, you can still do that, I guess, right? And then have the parents submit the super bill or the receipts to their insurance.
I think that is an option. I didn't look into that, to be honest.
Because you're
But
making good
I
money,
think
huh?
that it could have been an option.
Okay. Um, there's this next question is, how did you come up with the rates? That's Jennifer D. Jennifer D, how did you come up with the rates? That's her question.
Um, I guess that will be more of your judgment call.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at gyms in the area, not a gym like this one, because there really wasn't something like this in the area, but just thinking of like Gymboree and the standard ones that they do have, and try to be comparable. My idea, honestly, was to be something that was easily accessible for all families, because I don't know, I didn't want it to be like super high priced. I want it to be easy for families to be able to pay this
Mm-hmm.
and get this service for their kiddos, because I knew it would be beneficial, not only just for the play aspect, but for kiddos. At that point, I remember there was a change in insurance where kiddos who needed prolonged therapy were capped or being capped. And I'm sure they're still having these kind of issues. And so I was trying to have it to where these kiddos that were being capped and wouldn't be able to continue could at least have some kind of continuation of care, even if it's in a group, but to have some kind of assistance still, and it won't be overwhelming for the families.
Right.
So, trying to help out in the community as well. So,
I
um,
guess follow-up question there is, how much is your membership, monthly membership, and the per session? I mean, do you mind me asking?
well, that's something that I guess we can delve into with the
The master
next
class?
conversations. But yeah, I would absolutely. I provide every little thing that I've done, from equipment to pricing to everything um, that I used and did to start this up. So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Jennifer D, it says here, is it the general type of corporation that you created or still a PC or PLLC?
I personally started with an LLC. I think that would just be your call, and if you wanted to do a corporation, or if you were doing it in a partnership, or however you were going about starting it. But I did an LLC when I started
Mm-hmm.
up.
I guess the
Mm.
bottom line there is, you got to think, at the end in mind. Do you want to do this as your professional occupational therapy or physical therapy profession, or actually as a corporation that you just want to open, like, eventually scale it as a franchise? So that's a great question there. Thank you, Jennifer. Belissa is asking, how is your gym different from the franchise gym? I mean, obviously
From
this
the,
is.
what do you mean from the franchise? Like which franchise?
There are a lot of franchises out there, I guess, about gyms
Like you
like
mean
this.
like a standard, like a Gymboree type,
Yeah. Well,
or
obviously, I mean, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
those
Um,
are expensive, those franchises.
Oh yeah, like those starting up for sure. I mean, I looked into that even before starting up, and that was like over 100 grand just to start up. I was
Yeah.
like, way too much, you know. It just wasn't in my budget.
Yeah.
So, my husband and I just kind of said, well, we can do this ourselves. We don't really need
That's true.
to
Yeah.
franchise. We can have our own ideas and our own, with a franchise, it's difficult. I even contacted, you mentioned We Wreck the Spectrum. I contacted We Wreck the Spectrum and looked into that as well. And it's very, um, you don't have much flexibility to make it your own. You kind of have to stick to what the original franchise is. And so I wanted, first off, more liberty to do what I thought was right for the patient, not patients, for our clients, because it isn't patients, but we always kind of think in that mentality. Um, and so that was more of a playground, like an indoor playground versus the having our skill set as therapists in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then budget wise, for sure, I can tell you it was a fraction of the cost
Mm-hmm.
to do it on my own versus a franchise. So,
You know what? I love that question there because, and I mean, for me, I can actually not a lot of how do I say this? A lot of uh, outpatient clinic wants to partner up with me and me helping them opening up their own clinic here in the area where I live at. And I said, why would I partner up and get tied up with them? I
yeah,
can do it on my own. And
yeah,
that's the reason why, Giselle is here to teach us to open up on your own. You can decide on your own. You don't have to wait for a corporation or a franchise to get this approval because
yeah, right.
you cannot post this in their Facebook page. You cannot put up a Christmas tree or whatever. And
Yes, that's
me,
something you can't post. You can't even post your whatever you want to post without their permission. Like it's
I
that
know,
strict.
right? And I mean, in my case now, I see my own patient, I send my PTA, and I'm like, well, if you're not available, that's okay. I don't have a boss to use. So nothing against franchises. They're good if you
Mhm.
have the money, but
Right.
majority of us here are all, quote unquote, struggling, paying all our student loans and everything. So
Mhm.
might as well do it on our own terms. Before we keep on going and dive in deeper on all these questions here, but that's okay, Jennifer. That's good. That's good. We will go on to the next slide. So I'm sorry.
We'll
Okay,
go over the
there you go.
steps too of
Mhm.
of how to do it throughout this slide. So just kind of my process, like I said before, I did a lot of researching and phone calls and paperwork and just getting myself ready mentally. I am a big planner, so just trying to prepare for what it was to start this business. Um, it took a lot of time, but like I said, totally worth it. It was about a 6 month preparing time frame of getting everything in the background ready, preparing what the gym would look like, the equipment we would get, and everything just ready until we did open up. But I can tell you that that opening day, we had, and this is just my experience, we were actually, the whole front part of it is the glass. So you can see out, to the street and out the sidewalk. So we were actually, as my family, my husband, my kiddos, my parents, and we were all just kind of praying over the business and that everything would go well and just kind of doing us as a family. And when I opened my eyes, there was literally a line outside. Like they had two businesses on the side and then us here. And when I go to the door, it was literally out to the side of past these two businesses next to us. So it was just the best day to see your hard work even before you're actually open, to have so many people that were excited to get in and just, experience your hard work. So it's totally worth it, guys. I promise.
Oh wow,
Best
you're
day.
wanting me to open up my own gym now.
Yeah,
Earlier,
worth it.
we
Do
were we
it.
were before we went live. my friends, we were just talking about, how I'm encouraging my daughter, my eldest daughter. I want her to be a PTA so she could carry over all the patients I'm seeing right now. And eventually, if she wants to be a PT, she can see my patients. And my second daughter, she likes crafts and everything. Who likes craft? Who doesn't like crafts, right? And I want her to be a coda for now. And then I wanted her to open up her own sensory gym like this, and they're excited. So thank you for all this, for sharing all your knowledge here,
Absolutely.
Giselle. Before we move on to the next slide, let's answer some of the questions here.
Sure.
Lorraine and Belissa are asking, how did you find and finance the gym equipment, and what is the startup cost?
So I could give the cost for me personally, but there's so many options that there are. Like, I don't want to scare you or say you have to have 20, 30, 50, however much $1,000, because I don't believe that's true. Having the experience I have, I think that there are options to do it, with or without a huge budget.
Yeah,
There's so
start
many ways
small.
to go about doing this. You don't even need a brick and mortar space, to be honest. So, um, uh, tell me your budget. I'll help you figure things out and see what you can get doing. But I promise you don't need a huge budget to get something like this started. So
I love your answer there, Giselle, because it doesn't have to be big.
it doesn't.
Okay. If you are watching right now, ACG or in our masterclass, by the way, this is going to be recorded and it's going to be uploaded in our masterclass in alternativecareershealthcare.com, whatever website that Emma has. But it doesn't have to be a very, very big investment. You can start
Right.
small, like what Giselle said. You don't have to have you don't have to start big yet. You can
Right.
start small. You can either probably rent a small space in a gym, simple stuff like that. And you providing that extra service, you can probably rent a small area in an actual clinic, providing that extra service there. So there are a lot of options there. So that's what Giselle is going to share with us with the with her masterclass, with her program. Let me move on to the next slide. There you go.
So just the steps that I took to start, that I recommend starting with. First off, you want to get all your ducks in a row, starting with getting your LLC. Well, you can decide whether you want a corporation, LLC, sole proprietorship, just kind of based on how you start it. Do your research and figure out what's the best way to do it for your case, and get those things done. Get your federal tax ID done, which is required for all businesses. So start with those things. Then you can decide on location. What's the best location? You want to have good visibility. Make sure you're in an area that has, lots of kids. Like for me, I was looking for an area that had schools, that had daycares, that had a lot of kid
Oh.
facilities, and that way I could connect and just work with these people around me. And then talk to your realtor based on budget. If you're gonna end up going into a brick and mortar facility, there are big budgets. You can negotiate. You can do it. Like for me, like I said, I started this with a budget. I was not looking into a big commitment because I didn't have that to start off.
Oh, come
My
on. Giselle
realtor,
Miranda doesn't have a budget?
no, I did have a budget. I didn't have a big money to start. So my realtor helped me out in negotiating, and I actually got 5 months of rent for free in my space.
Oh,
And so
wow.
that helped me to just get my clientele up and going without me having to worry, oh, well, I have to pay the rent, I have to pay this and that. That was a huge help. So get a good realtor, get someone who's going to advocate for you and get good rates for you and help find, a not so expensive rental, and even try to get a few months free if you can. If you negotiate and, move your coins around well, you absolutely can do it. So
Okay, I like what Giselle mentioned there.
Yeah.
Find a good realtor.
Mm-hmm.
What's the bottom line there? Network.
Network.
Your network is actually your net worth. If you have a good network in your community, you need to go out. Do you think I'm going to get patients right now in my own side hustle and business if I'm not really going out there and presenting myself as the dementia expert? No. And same thing with this. If you're going to start up with this kind of business, you have to network with other people and being that voice, you being that, okay, I'm the sensory lady or whatever, or kids gym, whatever. And you have to present yourself. This is me. You have to be the walking billboard in networking with other people,
Right.
whether they're a realtor, whether they're a physician, whether whatever, network, go out there, talk to them, have a good relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
be the best therapist in your community. And look at that. How many months did she give you?
I got 5 months of
Five
free.
months. Imagine that. If you have a space for like 1,500 or 1,200
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, a month, that's already, that's a good deal there.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. All right. Before we move on to the next slide, I know you're busy, Giselle, but for
No
all
worries.
those other questions, guys, Giselle will be talking about this more in depth. It's in depth. I'm running out of English, sister. More deep, she's gonna dive deep on all these steps on how to start one, where to get those equipments and everything in our private masterclass. But for now, keep on asking, that way we can extract more information from her. So Jennifer D is asking, do you use a general type of waiver from online or consulted a lawyer to write it up? I guess I'm going to answer that, right? uh Giselle, are you gonna give us a copy and share your waiver or whatever when we sign up on your course or on your master class?
So in the master class, I will be providing uh, all of these documents. I'll pretty much give you the liability forms, the sign up forms for groups, for memberships. If you want to set up, automatic bill pay, I'm going to give you all the forms you need. I'm going to give you even uh, equipment, like every single equipment I had with a link of where to purchase, a layout of my space just to kind of give you an example while you set up yours. You can see how I had everything laid out in my gym. I mean, example flyers, example everything. You'll pretty much have it all to jumpstart your own gym. So,
Oh, wow.
mm-hmm.
All right, so thank you. Okay, I'm reading some stuff. All right. uh
Let me see.
Jennifer D is asking, if you can see how old I am. I'm
What type
looking
of
up.
marketing did you do?
No, I'm reading. Do you allow families to have their home care therapist do the session in the gym to take advantage of the equipment? What's your policy about that? Well, I guess that's
I had parents ask me about that. If they have the membership, I mean, uh, they could pretty much come in and whenever they wanted to and have their therapist come too. I even had some therapists ask if they could rent out the space and have their patients come in.
yeah.
So I mean, there's so many options of what you can do with
Mm-hmm.
this gym. So I mean, it pretty much, if you were to open your own gym, it's all up to you on what you decide to accept and do at your gym. So
That's the beauty of you owning that business. If you run a franchise, oh, we can't do this. We have to ask the corporate. Yeah, that's so true. If you own it, yeah, just go ahead and do it. Like what I have with another uh oh, what's that? The other clinic that I was supposed to rent out with Ron French. He's an OT. He's the hand therapist. He owns the clinic, and I asked him one time, I think several weeks ago or months ago, I asked him, "Hey, can I rent out a space?" And he said, "Yeah, just come in." Simple as that.
right.
So Belissa is asking, what if we already have an LLC? You can either use your LLC or you can start on a new one. It doesn't matter. I think as long as it's all related to your LLC. My LLC, my Tennessee Therapy Outsource, we have different LLC under it, the DBA. So yeah, you can either you can use that or start a new one. So
Yep.
all right, okay. Let's go on, move on to the next slide. There you go. Is this one of your client too again?
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
So next step would be to set up your insurance and liability forms, which you were kind of talking about a little earlier. So definitely you're going to need insurance to cover you in case of any accident, any incident that happens at the gym. Um, that was kind of something a little more trickier to find because of our specialty area, to find one that would cover for a sensory gym. And I did find a really, really good contact. And like I said, with the masterclass, you're going to get even that, all of my contacts that I used to cover insurance, to do LLCs, to do everything. So you would be able to get these contacts too. But he was a great asset and just made everything so easy to get insurance done. And pricing, you guys, is not even that expensive as you might think. So very accessible. But do your research and see, which companies you think are best for you. So.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Speaking of the masterclass, when are we gonna do the masterclass again? We talked about it earlier, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do 4 weeks of the masterclass. Just kind of, it's a lot of information. So just kind of spacing it out. So you can get the most out of the course and the information. So we will be starting on this March 2nd, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
4 sessions every Monday evening.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're gonna post it anyway in our alternative careers group, and then I'm reading some of the questions in Facebook. But and if you are really interested, and if you really want to take action, I would join in this masterclass that Giselle is offering, because I'm gonna join. I'm gonna ask all these questions because this is what I want for my daughter, to start one, and we've been thinking about it, and I just don't know how to and where to start. So like what Billy says, asking what if you already have an LLC? I already have an LLC. All I need is some guidance in how to start this up, and actually somebody pushing me to really open it up. So on a lower level of cost. So all right. So let me move on to the next slide. There you go. Mm-hmm.
All right, so then you would start by establishing and researching payment methods. So how you're going to do your payments, how much you're going to charge, what services you're going to have to charge, if you're going to sell products. Like I actually had developmental toys for sale as well. So
Well,
I
that's
had
an
people.
extra income there, right?
Yep, it's just a little extra things. And like I said, I had pricing for birthday parties. I had
Oh yeah.
for the just open play when they come to play, for the groups, for memberships. I had developmental toys for sale. So just figuring your prices and the company you'll use to make for payment processing. There you go. You want a good company that's going to be available for you if you have any mishap or any question while you're going. Like I was just starting up, and the company I had a representative like that was set for me, so I could easily text him throughout the day. His name was Mark. He was awesome. Hey Mark,
Of course, every mic is awesome, right?
Mark.
Okay.
But mics are awesome too. So
Just
like if I
kidding.
had an issue with processing a payment, he was just easy to contact and say, hey, this is going on. How can I troubleshoot it? How can I fix it? And just easy to communicate with. Also, the same company did all the record keeping for payments. So I had like weekly reports, monthly reports, everything, just kind of helping me keep on track of what were the payments coming in and just, the financial aspects of it. So you want to research and get a good company that will provide all of this for you for payment processing.
I love how you said that, because a lot of us business owners, especially for those people who are just starting right now, we know how our services work. We know how to provide an awesome service, but we don't know how to sell. We don't know how to where the charges goes in, and et cetera, et cetera. And thank you for your. I know I'm sure you're going to be talking about that too in the masterclass. So thank you, because when I was starting up, how do I do this? How do I swipe a credit card? How do I charge this credit card? How do I accept a check? How do I open up my business account, checking account. How do I, keep my record straight? What software do I use? Now I'm
Mhm.
using QuickBooks and everything. So thank you for pointing that out too.
Yeah.
All right. But before we keep going, there are some questions here also in Facebook. Chelsea said that's her dream of mine. She talked about financing. Or financing. Um, do you know where to get financing? Obviously, I'm going to answer that for you,
Okay.
Chelsea. Uh, when you start your business, when you get your LLC and everything like that, you get your EIN, you get your banking checking account, you develop some sort of a credit and credibility in the business world. And that business world will start sending you some, just right now, I got all this crazy junk mail. You're pre-approved for 20,000, you're pre-approved for 300,000. And then there, you can start your financing. Second, you can ask your family members. You can ask your family members to hey, can you lend me some money? Third, you can use your credit card. It's a good debt. A lot of Dave Ramsey don't like that, but you know uh, you can apply for a business credit card and go from there and just pay it monthly again, or pay it off and just go slowly. Um,
There's actually a lot of small business loans too that are helping out for small businesses. I don't know
yeah.
if it's based on state, but I know Texas did have a lot of options. I'm sure every state does. So
hmm
that are
Um,
easy.
PayPal. I just took out a loan from PayPal. They approved me of I think 10,000 just for a startup cost on my new business. So stuff like that. Once you've developed and start, you got your EIN, you got your checking account, you got your business name going on. Then you can start your small business loan. Jennifer said, "Can you give us a range for the cost to set up and operate the business the first 3 months?"
So like I said, for me, for the
Mm-hmm.
first 3 months, I didn't have much expense because, like I said, I had the 5 months free of rent, which is the biggest expense you're going to have if you do start a brick and mortar facility. That's the biggest expense you'll have, and I didn't have that. So really, my expense was the electricity bill, the water bill, and the internet. I had my
Okay.
utilities. That was all I paid, and it was maybe $200 for the
Mm-hmm.
utilities, not even. Um, so that was my monthly expense
Mm-hmm.
with starting off.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just part of cost of business.
Right.
It's part of it.
Mhm.
Internet. And there's another question here from Larissa. How many kids do you need to be? How many kids do you need to be profitable to even cover overhead? And how many employees do you have? And any age limits on your clients
So I didn't have age limits. I guess
that can
pediatric.
still play there? Just kidding.
I had I'm gonna say my oldest client was maybe 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I didn't say like just till 6 years old or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just based on um, developmental, because think of the developmental age too,
Mm-hmm.
or to participate in the groups and things like that. So um, yeah, I didn't have really a cap on age really, but I guess that could be based on your judgment on what you want to provide in your gym. The other question was employees. I didn't have, well, I started off by myself. And as it grew, what I did was I had a CODA student. Uh,
Mm.
I had a CODA student that I hired part-time and was helping me out. So, and we handle, and my husband and I would work, and I had family help out sometimes too, like my mom, my kiddos. My kids would help with leading
Yeah.
groups. And it was awesome just to have, it was very family business. So,
It's
um,
fun.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I guess I have some question here. How about
Mhm.
infection control?
So I cleaned everything. I had a protocol really,
Mm-hmm.
and check off list of what was in, like for the ball pit.
Mm-hmm.
Every few weeks we did clean out everything. We cleaned off every evening certain equipment. So there are ways to keep everything clean and prevent
Okay.
infection and things like that. So,
So are you going to share us your policies and procedures too in this master
oh,
class?
absolutely.
Awesome.
Everything you need to start off. So,
I got a question on those balls. Let me go back to there. Do you
yep.
clean each one of them?
Yes, my husband and I
Really?
clean the balls. Yes. Yep.
Really?
We
Oh,
would,
wow.
yep, it was a process. But
Mm-hmm.
the ball pit is what the kiddos loved the most. They loved that thing. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely worth it. It's work to clean it, but it's not an everyday having to clean. So
Mm-hmm.
um
Okay.
yeah,
All
it
right.
was worth it.
Well, of course, you just tell the kids, not to poop and pee there, right?
I never had that kind of mishap, thankfully.
Hey, you'll never know. All right. Okay. Let's go on to the next slide. There you go.
All right. So this is one of my kiddos in one of the groups. We were doing a fine motor handwriting group. Um, so next step, purchasing your equipment. What equipment you want to have at your facility. I mean, it's yours. You can pick what you want. I do provide a list of everything that I had with direct links on where to purchase if you wanted that. But you make this your own. You can get the equipment that you think works for you,
Mm-hmm.
um, and work on it based on your budget. And then just make sure that everything is well secured and easily accessible for any kiddo. Like an example with that, I had some kiddos that were in wheelchair. So like I had a little waiting area for parents that were waiting when we were in groups. But I also had a little gate to go before you would go in, because if I had a group in session or anything that, I didn't want just anyone running in. So the gate was there, but the gate completely could just swing open, or you could completely take it off to have my kiddos in wheelchairs be able to get in and out of the gym easily. And just so, I mean, we already had that mentality as therapists to make
Mm-hmm.
everything accessible for all. So just keeping that in mind, and safety in mind when you set up equipment, make sure everything is well secured and no edges where they can get hurt or anything like that. So,
Oh, wow.
and then establishing your play groups. So this as well, you can make your own. I had play groups based on fine motor, gross motor, sensory play. I had some for balance, handwriting. I had lots. I had mommy and me groups. So many groups that we were offering. But your schedule, you can pretty much make your own too. Like I would change it up. When it was school year, most of my groups were after school hours, because I knew during the day I wasn't going to have any movement, anyone coming in, because they were in school. I had a few mommy and me groups in the morning, and then from there it was just open play, and then I had my groups in the evening. Then during breaks, like Thanksgiving, we did a camp.
Oh,
So,
wow.
had them for 2 to 3 hours participating in, our camp activities, and then they'd go home. Summertime, you could do groups during the day, because they're looking for something to do throughout the day. They're at
Yeah.
home, bored. So you can change up your schedules. You don't have to be rigid on that. And parents actually appreciate it, because, their schedules change when their kids' schedules change. So you being flexible with that and changing depending on school schedules really helps parents out too. So,
Mm-hmm. And you are not considered a daycare, right? It's just a group
yeah.
thing and
No,
everything.
yes, daycares, check your laws and regulations, whatever word it is, I guess. Because I know that each state is probably different. But
Mm-hmm.
for here, a daycare, this is not like a daycare. Daycare has a lot more policies and procedures
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and permits that need to be in place for this, because we do parent supervision for pretty much all of it. You don't need as many, and it's easier to go through the process. For the camps, there's a minimum, so you can only have like the kiddos for 2 or 3 hours. There's like a cap on how long they can stay, because it's not considered a daycare. So I would check
Amazing.
each county, state, just to make sure that you're following the correct procedures or policies.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Well, what else? Who here in the chat box, if you are still in the live or in our webinar, who here has their head, brain spinning? Type in spinning, because my brain is actually spinning now on all the possibilities on how to promote this, partnering up with churches, partnering up with schools, partnering
Yes,
up with
homeschool kiddos.
you know, uh, actual clinics, and just being doing what you really want. I'm a PT, obviously. I'm a geriatric PT. I'm a dementia practitioner, but I'm also a businessman, and I'm thinking long term for my kids. And this is perfect. My wife would love this. Belissa said, Anita said her head is spinning. Nicole is spinning. Belissa, as a special needs mom, my head has already been spinning. Imagine that. And here's my special challenge for you today, guys. If you are in the webinar or even in the chat box in Facebook, join the masterclass. Learn from Ducelle, and don't stop. You got to take action, guys. And this is the perfect time to take action with all this stuff going on in our field. Yes, you're going to invest money. I mean, it's very, very minimal investing in Giselle or in our master class. Let's not even talk about that. It's very, very affordable. But yes, you're going to invest in your clinic or in your whatever sensory gym, but it's all going to be worth it. She's done it. And if somebody can do it, you guys can do it too. We can do this. So all right, okay. I'm gonna go on to the next slide. Is there any next slide still? There you go. All right.
There's still. So then comes the fun part, preparing your gym and, setting up the equipment how you wanted, making sure there's a good flow and safety throughout, establishing your business signs, your banners, the hours on the door, and just making it all nice and pretty to get started.
Are you gonna
Now,
teach us, the proper color and everything?
the proper color,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an
I
interior
mean,
designer. I mean,
you can make it your own. You can do any color. My color was green. I had like the emerald green mats on the
mhm.
floor. That's kind of what I went with. And I'll be showing more pictures and things in the master class. But
Okay.
um, yeah, you can make it your own space, you guys. This is yours to do whatever your mind dreams of. This is your space. Um, but you guys, the biggest tip I can give you is marketing. Do
Mm.
not wait until you open your doors to market. Start from the moment that you are even planning this. I marketed for months before I even opened my doors, and that's why I had that long line outside my door on opening day, because you got to create a buzz. You got to get people excited that your doors are opening and that you're offering all these great, cool things. Get people excited, marketing, social media, reach out to local businesses. Like I said, I made sure to find my location where there were lots of schools, lots of daycares, even therapy centers, because you guys, those are our biggest allies. I mean, we help each other out as therapists, and as therapists, we want the best for our clients, and they want them to go to places that can be inclusive for them and their needs. So, check out don't just look at the location, like the place, look at what's around you and how it'll benefit you in your business too. So get creative with your marketing, and yeah, make sure to start before you even open your doors.
Network. So
Network.
that's the key there. Go
Yep.
out in your community, and I like what Giselle said. You don't have to wait for your actual brick and mortar to start marketing. Start as early as now. You are the walking billboard, guys. You are the actual walking billboard. If speaking of that, create a shirt. When you go out to your community, create a shirt. Hey, whatever name. For example, in my case, I want to put it like whatever, Chua Sensory Gym. Let's just say it like that, Chua Gym or whatever. And, you know, and then they'll ask you, go out, bring your business card, bring your book or whatever, and just go out there, keep giving out those flyers. And like what Giselle said, start doing in-services,
Mm-hmm.
start doing those in-services and everything.
Yep.
Belissa said, should we get certified in anything? No.
You don't need to.
If
I
you
mean,
want certification, get my certified dementia practitioner. Just kidding.
I mean, I
But
guess that's a preference if you want to get certified in
mhm,
some other service you want to provide, but it's not necessary to open a sensory gym.
there you go. There you go. We already have the skills, guys. A lot of people here who are actually watching or in our group, we're all therapists here.
Mhm.
We already know 99.9. We know 99.9% better than the average Joe outside walking outside. We all have the skills, whether you're a PT, OT, CODA, PTA, speech therapist. We are all qualified to open up this type of business. You know why? Other people are opening it. They're not even a therapist.
That's true.
And all they have is the money. We may not have the money right now, but if you have the skills and actually the guts to start doing this business, you're gonna be okay. Uh, Lorraine has a question here. There are few sensory gyms here already. How do we set ourselves apart? Lorraine, you set yourself apart by being the best that you can be. Okay, you set yourself apart by being the best that you can be, and don't look at your competition. Okay, look at them as your allies. Copy
Well, you
them,
know, I'm sorry to.
mimic them,
Mm-hmm.
mimic them, and quote unquote, try to partner up with them.
Well, and you know, with any business that you start, there's going to be other people that have the same or similar business in anything that you do. So just, you don't have to look at the competition, just focus on bettering yourself and your business and making it the best that it can be, and clients will come. They'll see that. They'll see the difference between what you offer and what another business offers, and they'll come. There's plenty of customers, clients to go around. So don't be afraid of a little competition or other gyms that are out there.
I love that. I love that, Giselle. You when you said that. The more this is how that's I'm running out of English, guys. Okay, it's way past my English time. I run out of English talking to my patients. All right, actually that's actually encouraging, Lorraine. It means there is a market in your area. If there are a few sensory gyms there, it means there's a market there, and you still need to set it up there. All right. Ruth mentioned we really should start thinking outside of the box. Now is the time. That is so true. That is so true, Ruth. Now is the time. Now is the time. All right. Okay. Let me move on to the next slide. There you go.
All right. So this is
Just
just a
tell me this
motivation
is also your
slide.
picture.
Yeah, all of these are my pictures.
They painting on the mirror.
That we're doing shaving cream.
Really? Oh, shaving. See, I don't even know what they're painting in the mirror. It's like I'm gonna slap my kids. You know, but they're do. Oh gosh, that's fun there for
Yeah,
kids, of course, right?
we did
For
so
people who are cleaning up, I bet it's not. But
many. This is just a motivational slide. You know, give it your all, enjoy, don't give up. You already know that um, any business will be hard work, but it's worth it in the end. And with this business, it's so beneficial that you can uh, involve your family. It's so rewarding to become like family with your clients and just see how you're making a difference in their life and in the community. And it's just worth it in the end. And you guys, you can do this. If I was able to do it, you can do it. It's not as difficult as it seems. So hard work, yes, but worth it in the end.
you know what? I love that. Just I love that. You know, one thing I know about you right now, guys. I may not know all of you who are watching and listening in this video, in this webinar, in the Zoom, or in the alternative career group. But one thing I know, if you are listening and watching right now, one thing that I know about you, you want to be better. You want to do this. because you want to do this not only for yourself, but also for your family and also for your community and your patients out there. And that's what I want you to do. So if you are really interested right now in joining this masterclass with Giselle, and we also want to know if it's going to be good, uh, comment me in the chat box if you really want to join, and we will share you the sign up link where to sign up. It's actually alternativehealthcarecareers.com, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn from Giselle, and I just want to learn and do this, not for myself, but also but for my daughters, because my daughters, they're going to be PTA, they're going to be CODAs, and I don't want them to, be drowned in debt like me, and start their own business after doing 2 years of PTA or CODA school, and then start this, uh, not being an employee, but being their own boss and being their own business owner, and
Right.
being the best for their patients, for their clients, and achieve financial freedom. Yes, we're not going to be millionaires here, but at least we live a comfortable life in starting up your own practice like this, and just being a valuable uh person in your community, because you're not only changing your life, but you're also changing other people's lives through this type of business. So, all right, is there any
That's the last
last
slide.
slide? Oh
Yeah.
gosh, you're so fast. I still want more.
Any questions, guys? I'll be more
You
than
got
happy
any
to help.
questions here, Facebook friends? Or Kimberly said she wants to join, so there you go. All right.
Yay.
All right, where was my Facebook thing? There you go. All right. Belissa said she wants to do this. So, all right. Rayson said, yep, that's cool. Daniel is, how many space do you need typically for brick and mortar? If I own a brick and mortar and would like to explore when I move to a larger square footage, what kind of space would be ideal? That's a great question.
Um, my space was not large. I had about 1,100 square feet, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a big space at all. And I actually had it slightly built. I didn't do much building to it really, just painted and put the floors in. But I did make one birthday party room, and actually that room was multi-use. I ended up doing, the fine motor groups there, had tables and things like that. And then that's where birthday parties were done. That was pretty much all of the, I guess, construction thing that I did. But the space was not large at all. You don't need a big space. You can make something great out of a small space. So
You know what? That's so good. I love that. You don't have to have a big space. Start
yeah.
small and grow from there. I love that. Yolanda, I think, has a question. She's raising her hands up. Yolanda, do you have a question, sister? Let me allow you to talk. There you go.
No, I was just saying I was interested. That's all.
Okay. Let's do this, Yolanda.
Spot.
Hey,
There's
I'm
another.
playing this thing trying to figure out how it works.
Yep, Yolanda, she's all over. So somebody also raised her hand. Ruth, do you have any questions?
No, no questions in error.
Okay, all right. Okay. I'm gonna lower all your hands now then, okay? All right. So let me go before I let you go, Giselle. There are some more questions here. I know you're busy. Uh uh Jyoti Dumali Digawalekar. Hope I'm saying your name right. Jyoti. She said she missed the beginning of the webinar. It's recorded in our group anyway. And she's asking how much roughly does it cost to open a sensory gym? This includes space, renting, equipment. Um, Giselle answered that earlier, but it's basically depending upon you, how much you want to put in your equipments. I would say, how much is the minimum equipments that you recommend, Giselle? I mean, how much? $5,000 is enough, you think?
Oh,
$3,000?
absolutely. You really don't spend a lot on the equipment. Most of the
Mm-hmm.
things you can get for very inexpensive. You guys, you don't have to buy expensive equipment to make this work at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The
you
balls
know,
are, I mean, you could buy those balls and fill a big tub of small swimming
these
pool.
are things that
That's
you
it,
find
right?
anywhere. You know,
Buy it at Amazon or eBay.
I would say for me, the most expensive thing I bought was the ball pit.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most. From there, everything was very inexpensive, you know. Amazon, go to IKEA, things like that, guys. This is not the most expensive part of it is going to be if you have to build out the space. But if you find a space that is just open and has what you need, I mean, you're not gonna have to do such a big investment. The biggest cost, overhead cost, will be your rental space. So, like I said, if that's not in your budget either, then there's so many other ways to do it without having to rent a space. So, just think of your budget. You know, we'll be answering questions like that on alternative ways to do it that isn't brick and mortar space in the masterclass too. So, you know, so many ways to go about this. Now that I have the experience, even I think I would have started a different way, to be honest, because there are other ways to do it. And sometimes we don't think of them, but there's so many ways that we can do this based on our budget. So
I like what you said there. I always say I like what you said, but or I really like what you said, because she said she did it this way before, and we're learning from all her mistakes.
Mhm.
And I have a speaker coach right now. I pay him top dollars for him to teach me how to be a speaker, do whatever what I'm doing, being a CEU provider and everything. And he would always tell me, Michael, if I'm going to start all over again, I'm going to do this. And I'm learning from him. And same thing here, if you want to start your own
Rondell?
gym like this, uh, connect with uh, connect with Giselle. I'm gonna just mute there. Connect with Giselle and come join the masterclass group that we're doing every Monday, and then we will go from there. Uh, one more question, Giselle. I know you're busy. There were two more. After this, we're done. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Belissa is asking, how do you control noise for sensory sensitive kids?
Like in the gym,
Mhm.
I actually had a section, a little nook that was more of um, a relaxing section. You know, it was, I had books, I had a little carpet and things that they can lay down. It wasn't in the noisy area where all the kiddos were playing. So there was an little unwind section in the gym that they could go in and slow down. And actually, during one of my days that it was very busy, um, one of my moms mentioned that she was really grateful for that area, that her son was able to go and just kind of decompress and relax because it was a little overwhelming for him, and then able to come back out and continue play when he was ready. So
Oh, wow. I guess that's where your being a therapist comes in, how you try to what you call this in disinhibit or inhibit the patient or whatever you call it, OTs.
we have the
Yeah.
knowledge base to make this
Yeah,
the
there you go.
space for our target client. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can absolutely just use your therapist mind and, you know, think of anything that could happen or would happen or that our kiddos kind of go through and incorporate that into your space and what you think would be beneficial for them. So,
All right. And Nicole is asking here, I missed the beginning. Did she share pictures of her setup in a small space? She showed some of the picture in her group or in the PowerPoint slide, and she will show more in the masterclass that we have. So again, Thank you very much, Giselle, for this awesome interview. I really, really appreciate you. And for those people who are interested, shoot us a message in our group, and